Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday News with us, CNC3. We open the news tonight with story that Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has been told to fire her National Security Minister Jack Warner and thus save this country's reputation any further damage. The opposition leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, says this is the latest position approved by the party's General Council meeting yesterday. Dr. Rowley says the move is prompted by the noticeable failure to investigate a number of allegations of misconduct against Mr. Warner. Chester Sambrano has the story.
The People's National Movement is of the view that the situation surrounding National Security Minister Jack Warner is leading the country down a path that can be harmful both locally and internationally. At a news conference on Sunday at Bally's House, Dr. Rowley said the issue of Mr. Warner's alleged involvement in a bribery scandal at FIFA, his possible participation in the alleged breach of this country's customs laws, and the uncertainty of his ownership of the Center of Excellence in Macoya and its declaration are just some of the issues that remain unresolved. He said Mr. Warner has failed to respond to these matters, and the time has come for the Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, to take action.
We have had enough of Mr. Jack Warner and his bombast. We have had enough of the Prime Minister and her silence and encouragement. And we, on this occasion, on this day, on behalf of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, we demand that the Prime Minister remove Jack Warner from the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago.
Dr. Rowley also called on several organizations to clearly state their position on these issues surrounding Minister Warner. The Transparency Institute, the Interreligious Organization, the Labour Movement, the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, the Manufacturers Association, the South Chamber, the Law Association, WIGOT, and the UE Students Guild.
At the end of this, by their silence, we will know what their position is. By their comment, we'll be edified as to what their position is.
The opposition leader also made it clear that Mr. Warner's public scrutiny and reported intentions to relieve Police Commissioner Dwayne Gibbs of his duties are unlawful. Dr. Rowley added that the PNM is waiting patiently on the response from the Integrity Commission after several letters on the party's concerns were sent last week. For CNC3, I am Chester Sambrano.
Staying with politics, a former diplomat is tonight advising government to rein in the former Health Minister, Therese Baptiste Cornelis, before she makes another error like she did at a recent United Nations conference in Geneva. Former head of the Public Service, Reginald Dumas, who has served this country at a number of overseas missions, says some of her statements could be damaging to this country's international reputation. Kamal Georges explains.
The former health minister was asked to speak on the issue of diplomacy, but instead used the opportunity to ramble on before a very distinguished audience about why she was fired from government and a number of personal matters. Former diplomat Reginald Dumas believes some of her statements could be seen as though she were venting.
Moments before, when she certainly gave the impression that she wasn't too happy with the way that she found herself in Geneva.
As the head of an overseas mission, Mr. Dumas says these diplomats must be very careful about their behavior and what they say. He says while she did not say anything indecent in what was her first public speech as the ambassador, she did not effectively address the topic she was asked to speak on, and that can leave an impression.
You are asked to give a talk on a particular matter, and you spend your time being anecdotal and talking about things that don't concern the particular subject that you've been asked to talk about. So yes, I mean, your reputation, and therefore the reputation of the country, could suffer as a result.
Mr. Dumas says diplomats are the faces of this country overseas and represent us at some of the highest levels. Their behavior, he says, reflects on the entire country. It's for this reason he believes she should be warned.
I would assume that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will get in touch with her and suggest to her that she restrain herself and that she watch herself in future, because it's not merely a question of how she appears. That is one thing. What is more important is that she is the chief representative of Trinidad and Tobago to a very important place, that is the United Nations in Geneva.
He, however, does not believe she should be fired. Acting Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Suraj Rambachan told CNC3 he will discuss the issue with Minister Dukaran on Monday and the matter will be addressed to determine what action will be taken. While he did not say whether her behavior was out of line, he says diplomats are expected to carry themselves with the highest dignity. For CNC3, I'm Kamal Georges.
And in a brief official statement issued just a short while ago, Dr. Rambachan noted that all ambassadors, high commissioners and diplomats are always expected to promote a positive image of this country at all times. This means that words uttered as well as personal action and behavior should always bring credit to TNT and build a positive international profile for TNT. Meanwhile, the opposition leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, says former Health Minister Therese Baptiste Cornelis is an embarrassment to this country and she must be removed as ambassador to the United Nations in Switzerland. Dr. Rowley was commenting on the YouTube video that's currently circulating on a number of social networking sites where Mrs. Baptiste Cornelis delivered a speech that has left many locals unhappy. Dr. Rowley says Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar must remove her now.
I knew that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago has made a career of making bad appointments. But this one is in a class by itself. The woman is an embarrassment. And I think if the Prime Minister has not seen it by now, somebody would have drawn it to her attention. And if by this evening the Prime Minister is not thinking or not taking steps to move that woman, and prevent her from embarrassing the people of Trinidad and Tobago further, then the Prime Minister stands further accused of being to the detriment of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
He believes Mrs. Baptiste Cornelis has also damaged the image of the University of the West Indies.
I saw her presenting herself as a graduate of UWI. Now, I have 3 degrees from UWI, and I'm a proud student of UWI. And the UWI, over its history, has produced a number of outstanding citizens. And for us to be so presented to the world, that video has done harm to the UWI brand.
Switching to crime news, a South businessman is killed in an early morning shooting outside his establishment, while 2 others, including one of his employees, was also injured in that incident. Our cameraman Ivan Tulsi was on location early this morning, as Kamal Georges reports.
30-year-old Kadir George had no chance against the barrage of bullets fired at him. 18 spent shells were found at the scene outside the Landing Strip restaurant and bar on Sunday morning, where he was killed. After closing his business place at around 3 on Sunday morning, George was sitting outside the restaurant on Coffee Street in San Fernando, waiting on someone to pick him up. But police reports say as soon as the vehicle arrived, 2 men emerged and opened fire. George was shot 8 times about the body. His mother said she never expected to wake up to such news.
I left him home sleeping after 4 o'clock. And that's the last time I saw him, because I left him home sleeping, so apparently he came here after whenever. So he's managing the place here? Yeah, he runs the place.
2 others were injured in the shooting, an unidentified man and an 18-year-old waitress, Khadisha Vincent, who were both in the vehicle. Police believe the men came looking for George since no attempt was made to rob the business. His mother says she did not know why anyone would want to kill him, but she laments the crime situation in the country.
Very terrible, and when it come home to you, it's very terrible.
Police have no motive for this killing. They say George was not known to be involved in any criminal activity, but believe it could be an attempt to send a message to his family. No arrests have been made. For CNC3, I am Kamal Georges.
Meanwhile, a Chaguanas businessman narrowly escaped death yesterday after being attacked by a customer with a chainsaw. Hakim Mohammed, who owns the We Crew Bar in Chaguanas, says at around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, someone parked at the entrance of his business place. But when he asked the man to move his car, an altercation ensued, and the driver, who is reported to be a TNTech contract worker, then returned to his vehicle and pulled out a chainsaw, which he then began brandishing about. Mohammed said he managed to walk away with cuts to the hand, but he said it could have been much worse.
I tried talking to him. I said, "Boy, put away that boy. That is wrong." He started chasing me, and then he walked back to the fence, and he started trying to cut down the fence. And when I walked over to the fence, that's when he swung the chainsaw and cut my fingers.
The driver will appear before a Chaguanas magistrate as early as tomorrow. Let's take a break. The weekend news continues after this.
Is happy. She's happy because she knows every bottle of Smolta is filled with B vitamins, ideal for growth, concentration, and vitality. Give them their B's. Smolta, because you love them.
'Cause it's so good, so good. When we're out in it. So good, so good. When we're sharing. So good. Makes us happy. KFC. 'Cause it's so good, so good. When we're out in it. So good. When we're sharing. Makes us happy. KFC.
Look years younger. Chase those grays away with Biogen Permanent Hair Color in 12 colors. Ideal for men and women. Biogen is available nationwide.
Local government minister and deputy political leader of the United National Congress, Dr. Suraj Rambachan, is taking the Express newspaper to task. This for an article published today over a new Range Rover vehicle purchased by the Prime Minister. Via a media release, Dr. Rambachan says the story was meant to embarrass the Prime Minister. He says it would have been okay to show a picture of the vehicle bought by the Prime Minister, but it is manifestly clear that the objective of this publication is to create in the minds of some readers some semblance of wrongdoing when in fact there is none. Dr. Rambachan says the Prime Minister, like any other minister, is entitled to certain benefits. And by purchasing the vehicle in accordance with those benefits, she has violated no law or breached any ethical standard. He says this article comes in the wake of what must now necessarily be construed as a continuing series of attempts to embarrass the Prime Minister. Dr. Rambachan says he finds the thrust of the article highly unfortunate. The article is questioning the timing of the purchase of this vehicle, which cost $900,000 after the exemptions are deducted. Plans to use spray aircraft in the fight against dengue in the borough of Chaguanas have now been scrapped because of a lack of funding. In an attempt to control the increasing number of dengue cases in the borough, the mayor there, Orlando Nagasa, suggested that the planes, which were used by Caroni 1975 Limited, could be used in the fight against dengue. But speaking with reporters today, the mayor says, the health minister says it cannot happen at this time.
But he said to spend money on destroying frog hoppers at this time, it will not be financially viable. He has indicated to me that let us do house-to-house spraying around the homes and so on, use the borough equipment and continue that.
So the area spraying idea crash?
Yeah.
At least 260 cases of dengue have been reported in the borough for this year alone. Mayor Nagasa was speaking this morning at a cleanup campaign in the borough. It's part of an effort to keep the borough and the country clean. Local government minister Suraj Rambachan also noted he will be holding litter wardens in this country to account. He says they are not doing their jobs.
Litter wardens are not visiting homes and giving up these cleanup orders as they should. And throughout the country, we do have litter wardens who are paid by the different corporations. So I'll be impressing upon the CEOs of corporations that these litter wardens be sent on street-by-street visit. Mr. Nagasa has correctly identified that the source of dengue really resides a lot of times in little receptacles in their homes. And the power of the litter wardens is to go out there with the health inspectors and do that.
Minister of the People and Social Development, Dr. Glenn Ramadasing, wants to introduce employment clinics to help young people who don't have jobs. Speaking at a walkabout in his Caroni Central constituency, Minister Ramadasing said the number of unemployed youth is too high. He says a new program will soon be developed to help them in this problem.
Reskill into starter jobs, and then have what is called an employment clinic or job coaches that will really be people who have served the society as retired public servants, retired police officers, retired lawyers, doctors, who will then mentor these young persons to stay in these training jobs.
MP Ramadasing says he also wants to do more for the farming community in his constituency.
As how the Member of Parliament and the councillors can be of assistance with regards to agricultural access roads, loans for farmers, major governmental projects, so we can partner.
Government is now making moves to offer on-the-job training to members of the cadet force. Also, the process to implement cadets in all schools will commence this September. These announcements were made at the closing ceremony of the annual cadets training camp. Cameraman Vern Tickerson with reporter Chester Sambrano were at the ceremony and have this report.
A magnificent display was put on by the young cadets who were camped at the Carpichaima East Secondary School for the last 2 weeks. The camp involved children from all across the country and even some from Grenada. In an effort to display some of what they were taught, the military boys and girls performed a simulation exercise of a rescue, which included a helicopter, dummy guns, and military gear. Following the exercise, Minister in the Ministry of National Security, Colin Partap, said career training will be provided for all cadets in many areas, including medical, accounting, and engineering.
We can get programs by which they could either go through private companies or to the government ministries and get some training during the vacation period.
And as announced by National Security Minister Jack Warner weeks ago, steps are now being taken to implement cadet units in all schools across the country.
Commencing from the 5th of September and continuing right through to December, we have slated to 25 schools for completion before the school term ends in December. And we have the next 15 schools already identified for 2013. So we will get most of the schools done within the next 12 months.
The cadet service was also promised its own headquarters in the near future. For CNC3, I am Chester Sambrano.
Coming up, we have tonight's sports coverage. The West Indies, they sneak victory over New Zealand in the first test in Antigua. Also Olympic news, George Bovell wins his heat in the 100-meter backstroke but then fails to qualify for the semi-finals. And also the final 2 athletes of the team TNT are due to arrive in the Olympic Village in London tomorrow. We'll tell you who they are and what's next after the break.
Father Gerard Pantin is a religious leader, educator and social activist whose work includes the establishment of Serval. Upon graduating from St. Mary's College, he was awarded the Island Scholarship for Science and the Jerningham Gold Medal in 1948. Father Pantin earned a BSc in Chemistry, Biochemistry and Botany, a diploma in Education, a diploma in Philosophy and a license in Theology. 1970 was perhaps the most defining year of his life. The 1970 uprising convinced Father Pantin that he had to do more for the underprivileged. He founded Serval, Service Volunteered for All, which remains one of the most impacting NGOs in this country. And in 1973, he founded the Trinidad and Tobago Development Foundation, which guarantees loans for community projects. In 1987, he was awarded an honorary degree by Duquesne University and another by the University of the West Indies in 1990. In 1994, UNESCO honored Serval for its work with children and adolescents. Also in that year, Serval was awarded the Alternative Nobel Prize. In 1995, Father Pantin was awarded this country's highest honor, the Trinity Cross.
The 50 most influential personalities since independence. We want your view via text on Facebook and online at 50tt.guardian.co.tt.
Still trying to decide between going shopping or going to the beach? Why not both? Shop online and ship with Aeropost. Shop online from anywhere you want and get to enjoy a sunny day at the beach and amazing mid-year sales from the best USA stores. Sign up today and start shipping your purchases to your Miami Aeropost address and receive your goodies easily, safely, and hassle-free. Visit one of our counters or online at www.aeropost.com/POS. Aeropost. Online shopping made easy.
It's so pulpy. Wow. It's so pulpy. New Minute Maid Pulpy is here. Refreshing orange juice drink with real fruit pulp. Pulp up your life with new Minute Maid Pulpy.
There's one in all of us. Don't drink and drive. Designate a friend so you can lime again. Be the one. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Beverage Alcohol Alliance.
Mrs. B is happy. She's happy because she knows every bottle of Smolta is filled with B vitamins, ideal for growth, concentration, and vitality. Give them their B's. Smolta, because you love them.
It's gonna be a great day. Got my ginseng up, hey. Let's focus, people. Come on and get it sorted. Get more out of your day. Get things done efficiently. Let's go with it. Come on and just drink it, people. Drink it up now. Drink it up now. Ginseng up now. Ginseng up now.
Enjoy the new look and same great taste today. Ginseng up, the roots of all power.
My brother Freddie, he's an actor and a model. And my brother Adam, he works with architects, importing stone and marble from Italy. I like to work hard, play rough. Freddie, on the other hand, he likes to play it smooth. Freddie orders some mini skinny latte. No milk, no sugar, no this, no that. My brother just drinks espresso. Freddie loves all the attention he can get. For me, being on my own, it's wonderful too. To be honest, you'll never find me and Fred driving the same car.
Steak again. Sushi.
The Trinidad and Tobago swimmer George Bovell got his London 2012 Olympic campaign off to a good start this morning when he placed first in his heat in the men's 100-meter backstroke event. However, his efforts failed to secure him into a semi-final spot. Swimming out of lane 8, Bovell placed first in heat 2, clocking a time of 55.22 seconds. That's 0.15 seconds better than the second-placed Greek Omar Garcia Pinzon. The slowest time that got into the semi-final stage was 54.52 seconds. Bovell will resume action at the pool on Tuesday morning when he enters heat number 4 of the men's 100-meter freestyle event. Well, the West Indies team completed an unlikely victory over New Zealand today to snatch a 1-0 lead in the 2-test series. With the Kiwis resuming day 5 on 199 for 3, it looked as if the first test was heading for a draw. That was until Kemar Roach changed the course of the match, as Kamal Georges tells us.
I think they have to do two bits, hold all the catches.
At the start of the 5th and final day, both teams walked out onto the field with the odds of a drawn first test most likely. New Zealand's overnight batsman Captain Ross Taylor and night watchman Neil Wagner played cautiously as the visitors resumed their second innings on 199 for 3. But just 40 minutes into the final day, a short, sharp shower forced the players off the field. New Zealand would have welcomed the 20 minutes away from batting as they looked to cement another draw. However, on the resumption, West Indies pacer Kemar Roach provided a 2-over burst that turned the first session on its head. Just 2 balls after the rain delay, he trapped Ross Taylor like before.
Where's it going to hit?
In a desperate review to save his wicket, the call stayed on field and the New Zealand skipper had to go. In Roach's next over, he knocked over Kane Williamson to leave the Kiwis stuttering on 217 for 5. The West Indies back in business looking for a win. Wagner and Dean Brownlee took the visitors to lunch on 225 for 5. But after lunch, Kemar Roach came out with a magical spell of bowling that forced a New Zealand collapse. The Kiwis were limited to just 47 runs. After the break, Kemar Roach finished with figures of 5 for 60 and Sunil Narine took 3 for 91 as the West Indies bowled New Zealand out for 272. It left the hosts with 102 runs to win and they got to their target in relatively easy fashion, losing just the wicket of Powell for 30. Chris Gayle hit 64 not out as the West Indies won the first test by 9 wickets.
And the spinner Sunil Narine was named man of the match after taking 3 wickets in the second innings to add to 5 in the first. The second and final test match begins in Jamaica on Thursday. And to all of our cricket fans who tuned in to CNC3 today to watch the final day's play but found themselves disappointed, well, we do apologise for that inconvenience, but technical problems that we had originated from the satellite feed. We did our best, but it was not to be. Now, tomorrow, the final 2 TNT athletes will arrive into the Athletes' Village at London's Olympic Park. Track and field manager Dexter Voisin told CNC3's Roger Sant and Hank Williams in London today all athletes must report to the village tomorrow.
BPTT's Going for Gold is brought to you in part by Ginseng Up, Sissons Paint, BMW, Mini, the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, Penta, and BPTT.
Tomorrow, the 30th, is our mandatory deadline for those who have been back at their bases doing training to come to the camp. Rene Cow is expected in tomorrow. Richard Thompson, after the camp in Wales, went back to Norway to fine-tune with his coach, and he's expected back tomorrow also.
He did say sprinter Kellyanne Baptiste is nursing some discomfort in her Achilles.
I know Kellyanne has been complaining of a little discomfort in her Achilles tendon, and that goes back since before the championships. The massage therapist and the physiotherapist and team doctor has been working with her where that is concerned. She has been doing regular sessions with them, and as I said, there's no major concern.
Shot putter Cleopatra Burrell-Brown expressed her satisfaction with the facility at the Athletes' Village and told us she did not take part in the opening ceremony.
After Beijing, I had really bad blisters on my feet. So my coach and we made an executive decision for me to not walk, but it was really a different perspective for me because looking at it on TV, it brought back a lot of memories because we didn't get enough Trinidad and Tobago time. You know, it really brought back memories of why I like the Olympics. It was like being like a kid again.
Reporting from London, England for CNC3 Sport, I'm Roger Sant.
BPTT's Going for Gold was brought to you in part by Ginseng Up, Sissons Paint, BMW, Mini, the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, Penta, and BPTT.
And of course, Going for Gold with Roger Sant will continue tomorrow during our news coverage, especially of the Olympic season. Let's take a break. The weekend weather, well, we'll wrap that up and tell you what's going to look like over tomorrow when we come back.
Listen up, people, to this spot about rainbow products and why they're hot. Corned beef's not the only thing they've got, so put a rainbow in your pot. Canned and dried goods just for you, Vienna sausages and tuna too.